All right. I have returned. Uh, in fact, maybe slightly longer break this time. I'm looking into getting some lunch going. So we'll see. We'll see how long the stream goes. In fact, give me 1 second. uh, There we go. All right. Okay. Almost done. All right. I just need to get the order in. All right. Back to it. Sorry. So the what I was thinking about was having some kind of attack node on things that can attack, and some kind of health node on things that can take damage, and then having those nodes own the responsibility for figuring out how to interact with each other. Is broadly the idea, right? So how does that work? I guess let's do this. This is gonna be wrong momentarily. Let's do this. So this is on our enemy script that's attached to the enemy. So we're gonna create a new child node. It's just gonna be a node. Versus a resource. Resource isn't a thing we can add this way, but we can add a node. Can we call it attack, right? And we'll attach a script. Okay. And we're gonna give it a class name of attack. And then, hey, look, it says perform attack. Var parent equals get parent, if parent and has method attack target, parent. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We want to have, we do want to have something that's like perform attack, but it will have a target, which is a node, and we'll have a damage amount. And we'll hold off on this for a minute. And I guess it can just be a node. It doesn't even have to be a node 3D. It's just a node. And then we have this. So our attack node. Yeah. It'll find it. Is there a way to tell it to just sync? It's connected. Yeah, it's connected. Good go. Discord messages? Oh. One I can look at later. What does this do? Oh, hey. Did you know there's a Godot tab? Refresh scene preview? No. Open the main script. Okay. Okay, I don't. Did we not save out? There we go. That's why. Okay. This is a, if we restart, if we close and reopen VS Code, this warning will go away, but it's fine. Yeah, there's our attack node. You know, We could do things like that if I actually had the thing open, which is a thing you can do in the editor in Godot that I'm not using. Is like drag things from the scene list into the script. I've just been like doing things by hand, but yeah. What does S here mean? Oh, also that fixed it. Okay. Anyway, okay. So the idea would be that instead of using current target hit, we would use attack dot perform attack current target damage amount, right? Like that. In fact, we might go further than this, specifically of moving the damage amount and cooldown into our attack script, and then move the timer as well, right? But let's do this one piece at a time. So for now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have something where we check to see if the target has a child node named health. Not very good, Copilot. All right, so if target dot has node health, returns true if the path param points to a valid node. Can we? So if we call get node on the target, it generates an error and returns null. So I don't want to generate an error. So we can do this. And then we can just say if health is health, and then we do we can call it take damage. Yeah, and there's no there isn't a health yet, but there will be. There will be. So then we do the other side of this, right? So in the so the first thing I want to do before we actually implement obstacle damage is we already have a thing that receives damage, which is the target, right? We just have this one target here. So if we add a child node, we're going to just add a node and we call it health. And add a script. And then what we want to do is we want to have a take damage. And so we could do this where we're like reaching into the hit points of the parent. So for right now, what I want to do is I just want to say has method. Right, so this will allow us to not change anything else. And then I guess here's a question. Can we, it'd be really cool instead of using path, if there's a way to say, does this node have a child of this class? So has connections, has meta, has method, has node and resource, has user signal. I don't suppose we can see docs for these things without. Okay, let's go look at docs. Tell me about a node. Methods. Find a child. Finds the first descendant of this node whose name matches pattern, returning null if no match. Recursive owned. Can be very slow. Consider storing a reference if found. Use get node with unique names. So there's get node. Fetches a node. Node path can either be a relative path from this node or an absolute path from this scene tree root. Attempts to access methods, yada yada. Yeah, has node that we're using has node and resource. If path points to a valid node and its subnames point to a valid resource. Properties that are not resource types, such as nodes, or other variant types are not considered. Is ancestor of, is displayed. Okay. I don't see a method that does this thing that I've imagined that would be nice to do. Which is not to say such a thing doesn't exist. But I can appreciate why that would be maybe not performant. Lots of sets that are not going to be related. Let's go back to the top of this list of methods. Much scrolling. So lots of kind of internal things that we would want to call anyway. Add child, add sibling, add to group. ATR translates a message using translation catalog. Okay. Call thread safe, can process, create tween, duplicate, find child. We already looked at. Find children. So find children does take a type. This method can be very slow. Find all the descendants of this node whose name matches pattern, returning an empty array if no match is found. The matching is done against node names, not their paths, through string match. As such, it is case sensitive. Star matches 0 or more characters. Type is not empty, only ancestors inheriting from type are included. Right, so we could theoretically use find children. Even using star as the pattern. But I'm not excited about the idea of doing that. There's probably a better way than what I'm doing. Go back to Godot, save everything out. Right, so we have health. We did attach a script to it, which is this script right here. It has a class name. It has take damage. At least this way, by including this check, we are why this scene? It's interesting. Where's target? Trying to figure out how I can get it to like refresh itself. Open the scene's preview. Scene previews current scene. What does it mean? Scene previews current, but the scene preview is main, not enemy. So weird. Anyway. Oh, it fixed itself now. All right, cool. So it eventually caught up. Okay, so now when the enemy gets to the target, it performs an attack using the attack node and its perform attack method. That looks at the target to see if it has a health node. It gets that health node, make sure it's actually a health node, and calls take damage to the health with the damage amount. Health has this take damage method that looks at the parent to see if it has a hit method. Bear with me, we're not going to keep it like this. This is just kind of a transitional thing, right? And so the parent of health is target, which does have a hit function method that does this logic, right? So that all connects without the method in the enemy calling the method on the target. Many Discord messages. Anyway, so if I run this and we let the enemy get to the target, it will start attacking the target. It does take a minute. The reason lines are diverging is because, yeah, we made it so the enemies spawn in a random start location within the spawnable area. Very, very cool. All right, and so you can see the target is taking damage. I gave it like 100,000 points just to have lots of time to debug things. So what I would like to do is right now the target has like hit points and it has this hit and it has like logic for dying, and we're going to move that all into health, and we're going to have health provide a signal died, signal damaged. So target isn't going to have these functions necessarily anymore. It's definitely not going to have hit points. Yeah, we're going to move hit points to here. And then this logic is going to live health. We don't emit signal that way, do we? Do died.emit. I think I determined that this is like pre-Godot 4. So now we just emit signals so that the parent can listen to anything it wants to. I'm going to say on die. On died. Oops. I don't know what I just pressed. But I wish I could figure out what I just pressed, because that would be convenient for in the future. So now what I've done is I've made it so that health has a signal. There we go, called died. And then we hook it up to its parent target method. Cool. And so this doesn't have to know anything about the context in which it's instantiated. It doesn't need to look at its parent and interact with its parent. The parent doesn't need to know anything about this other than hooking up to the signal, which is kind of the interface of this node. And then we can do something. I mean, we're basically done with attack, but we can make attack better. So I think the kind of the receiving side of this, in terms of how to take damage, we've implemented. right? So if we do this, we can see the enemy spawning over here. Over here. And then we can see that they eventually start damaging the target. Except we're not printing anything. Let's go ahead and... Do I want to... Maybe I'll just hook the signal up, right? So we'll hook up a signal to the target for debugging purposes. Yeah, health is not declared. Do I want to put the whole health object, or do I want to just put hit points? Do I want this to be actually not something like that? And then we want to change the signal, right? So amount float hit points int, and then pass hit points. Oh, the target was destroyed. Let's try that again. Oh, right, because I have not yet changed the hit points on this. Right, so it's only 100. So, and the enemy is doing 10 damage at a time. So, very quickly, target's done. All right, success. So, yeah, I think I don't hate this. It means, what does this mean? So I don't have to define a function on target every time I want to create a new thing that can take damage, right? I can make functions to handle the signals from the child node. The only gotcha is that I have to make sure that the node that's attached to the thing receiving damage is called health. I have mixed feelings about that, but yeah. I guess the thing to do is the thing that the one person talked about in that forum thread, where we could set on the meta of the parent a name, and then in health, when we look at the or not in health, in attack, when we look at the node, we check to see if it has that meta value. We use that as the path, and then we do this with that, so we can look up that. So yeah, I want to do one more thing here to kind of complete the thought, right? So right now the enemy has this logic around damage amount, damage cooldown, and what else? I think maybe attacking as well. Yeah, I think those bits live in this. Right, because attacking, what is attack target here? So what we really want to do is, instead of touching these things, we want to call attack dot perform attack. We want to do that. That means that something. That means something. All right, so let's take damage cooldown and damage amount out of this, and we're going to move it into attack. So now that node owns those properties. And then attacking also lives in here. Like so. And then we have a timer. And that timer should be in here as well, right? So when we go back to our enemy, the attack timer needs to be inside of this node. And its signal needs to be connected to the attack. And so the function here needs to be here. And this logic of func send damage. I like the name. So if target has node health, to do, consider condenser. Consider finding the node using metadata. Okay, so if we find it, we can call take damage on the health node. When we perform attack, we're not performing an attack. When we are timed out, we call send damage, right? On the current target. So we do need current target. Because current target. So there's a choice here on behavior, right? So what I'm going to do is kind of the naive thing, but one consideration is that if you want a cooldown, well, it's in the name, right? It's a damage cooldown, not an attack cooldown. So I could make this where the attack, if we switch targets for what the attack is going to be, then the cooldown should be reset, right? Otherwise, you could be like, oh, I'm going to attack this, and then I'll last minute switch to a different target. I don't think that matters here, but that could be a thing. We don't need damage amount here. We just need to know who the target is. And we set the current target, and we, if we're not attacking, set attacking to true, and then start the timer. And we don't need to send damage, because the timer will send damage. Yeah, so this is kind of the interface that we're going to expose, right? Is perform attack. So I'm going to move this function here, just so it's front and center. And then now we do not have to worry about if we're attacking or not. We just say perform attack. And we don't know the damage amount because that lives elsewhere. And I guess the thing is we still need current target here. That's separate from current target in the attack script. When we set current target to null, we may want to say attack.cancel. If only I could type. There we go. And provide that cancel function. And it's just going to like clear out everything, right? So if we decide there's no longer a target for whatever reason, we can call cancel, and that will prevent us from carrying forward. And I think that's the only place where we clear current target. Yep. So does it blend? Does it work? We of course also have changed attack 10 damage. All right, because that's the default, and cooldown is 1 second. So we should see this hitting it for 10 damage at a time. There we go. 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and done. Okay. So that works. Cool. I think the immediate like next thing to do is, so this attack node, we are going to say branch is seen, right? So we can drop this in wherever. There we go. And we can still see these properties, right? So now we have this reusable thing that we can attach wherever. Right, so when we go to main, we do the same thing with health. It's less complicated. It doesn't have any internal nodes, but we'll do the same thing of saving it as a scene. And then we have hit points. And so we should be able to take those scenes. And I think a thing to do would probably start organizing the file system a bit to have these components to be able to drag like health and give health to a obstacle, right? So we can give health to an obstacle by just dragging this in, putting it here. It's called health. It has 1 hit point. Sweet. As an example, the enemy can have health, right? So we can add health to the enemy, right? And the enemy will have 1 hit point. Okay, so lunch is here. It's been here for a minute or two, but I wanted to kind of finish this thought. So I won't even bother creating a branch. We're just going to push this onto main because it can. Implement health and attack systems for enemies, damage handling, attack mechanics. It's progress. So we're going to, I'm gonna make this just like a checkbox list. Very annoying. Can I don't suppose I can just like select these and click this. Almost. It almost works. All right, cool. There is a new feature, like sub issues is the thing now in GitHub, but yeah. Anyway, so all of that, we check off one thing. Much to do, but I think this has been good. It's been a good amount of progress for today. So we now have 7 commits on main. All of our work to date on Godot Tower Defense on my GitHub.